welcome back to this alternative baking session I like doing, this experimentation. Once again, my name's Nicole, and we are going to make cookies again today. Yay! I like cookies because cookies are easy to pack, so that makes things great, you know. So what I am doing today is cream cheese cookies. Normally I'd stay away from the dairy, but we need to make room in the fridge. So I looked up a cream cheese cookie recipe that we are highly going to change. It's from, I think, pizzazetti.com. That's why I found it. It calls for normally half a cup or a stick of butter, 4 ounces of cream cheese, room temp. We have a cup of granulated white sugar, 1 egg, teaspoon of vanilla extract, teaspoon of almond extract, half teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 3/4 cups of cake flour. Obviously, I'm not going to do what it says, because why would I listen to directions completely? I'll listen to the directions, just not the ingredients. Instead of doing the half cup of butter and the 4 ounces of cream cheese, I need to get rid of cream cheese. At least 8 ounces. So I'm just going to use 8 ounces of cream cheese. I want the volume to be pretty close as well as the protein and fat contents. So I think I can get away with this. So I just have here about what I think would be 8 ounces, since I had to use 6-ounce containers. So, oh, spatula. Ha! And I called it a spatula today. So let me just get all that out of there. Okay. Now we are going to whisk this. We want it fluffy. I should have said it said for it to be room temp. I think I said that already. However, I don't know. It's probably not room temp. So I'm just going to whip as much as I can out of it. Okay. And now we need to add, it says, a cup of sugar. However, it is flu season and I don't want to use my honey, and I am running a tad bit low on maple syrup. So we're going to just use cane sugar. The cane sugar I have is not as processed. It's still very high in the calorie content, but these are cookies. I'm just going to let go of my rule of cutting down on sugar just this once. So we're going to add a whole cup, or approximately, I actually cut a little bit. Approximately a cup, probably closer to a 7/8. So we want to mix until it's fully incorporated. And honestly, I like it whipped a little bit. So I'm just going to do it like I would do with butter. Okay. I took as much as I could off, so I'm just going to move this. I'll put that over here for now. So now we must put in the egg. I don't want to do an egg, and I looked up a lot of egg replacements. Because I want these cookies to be light and airy, that's what the recipe calls for at the end. I'm going to do a vinegar and baking soda mix. Now, I've said before that I don't like baking soda. I can almost always taste it, but I have noticed that when it's mixed with vinegar, I don't taste it so much. So I'm going to do a tablespoon of, I'll do apple cider vinegar, just because that's what I happen to have on hand. You can also use distilled vinegar, white vinegar as well. I'm not going to do both of them at the same time, because then that would cause the chemical reaction to happen right now, and I don't want that. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of vinegar in the recipe now, in what I've just made now. Okay, I'll let that mix. Now, you probably know, if you don't, then I'll let you know anyway, that the reason you do baking soda and vinegar is because you want the light and airy bubbles to happen. So you want that chemical reaction, so you need it to, I think I pretty much already said that though. But yeah, the basic and the acidity together is what helps create that explosion. Anyway, so I'm going to put in now, like the recipe called for, about a teaspoon of almond extract and a teaspoon of vanilla extract, but I'm going to go a little different. I'm going to use vanilla bean paste, about a teaspoon or so worth, but I'm not going to do the almond extract. I actually kind of want a lemony flavor, so I'm going to do lemon extract and see how it comes out. Plus I don't have almond, and I just don't like that marzipan taste. So, yeah. And I'm going to do a teaspoon of vanilla extract first.
Lemon.
Go, teaspoon. It is already pretty lemony. And the lemon with the cream cheese, I think that'll be a good mix. Okay, and let's do the vanilla bean paste. Okay, so that is the last of the vanilla extract.
Bean paste.
And now we're going to mix. So that is well mixed. So now we have the, normally what would have just been the baking powder and the cake flour. But because we are getting rid of the egg, there's a couple more substitutes. First, like I said, we're going to do a teaspoon of baking soda, and then it's going to be our regular half teaspoon of baking powder. But also I'm doing a different flour ratio. We're not using just regular AP flour here. What I've decided to do is, because we want cake flour, some of the recipes I found said that you can do your regular amount of cake flour that you need, and if you're going to do a cup, and then take out 2 tablespoons of that regular flour, add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I wanted to stay gluten-free as much as possible, so what I'm doing is about 3/4 of a cup of oat flour, then doing a cup of gluten-free flour, and then take out 3 tablespoons of the gluten-free flour and add in, instead of cornstarch, arrowroot powder. Now, arrowroot allows it to be gluten-free instead of the cornstarch, and it pretty much works in the same exact capacity. The reason you're doing this is because you want to change the protein content to make it a little more light and airy, a little more like a cake. So this is the beautiful version of what I've just done. So I'm going to pour some of this in now. We'll do about a third. And then I'm going to do the half a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay. And then we'll do a teaspoon of baking soda. I'm trusting that it's not going to taste like baking soda. Okay, so we're going to mix that in. Good, mixing in a little more. And the rest of it. You want to make sure you mix everything. You don't want to miss anything. But you also don't want to overmix, just because you don't want to mess with those bonds that you're creating with that cookie. Okay? So I'm going to, again, scrape down the sides. And it's a very thick batter, and you want that, and it's probably going to be very sticky. That is completely all right. So I'm going to just use my now clean hands to just wipe off what we already have in here, because I don't want to waste it. And I don't have kids, so I don't have anyone to lick the whisks, the beaters for me. And since it technically doesn't have any eggs, it's not bad for kids to eat the batter. And I could, be a kid and eat the batter myself. Maybe I will, once I unplug the beater. It kind of actually tastes like store-bought cookies. Okay, clean hands and some clean dishes. So now I'm just going to put some plastic wrap around, and we're going to refrigerate for an hour. Okay, so now we have ready to go our delicious smelling dough. It does smell actually really good. So and what we're going to do is we're going to just try to roll them up since they're cold. The recipe says that the dough will be sticky. I'm hoping, because I actually had it in the fridge for about 2 hours, not 1, that it'll be very much good to go when it comes to rolling them out. So we're going to fill this tray and this tray back here, which I've already sprayed, with as many cookies as we can, and we will throw them in the oven at 375, which I've already preheated, and that'll go in for 9 to 11 minutes. So let's start this out. So let's get the first one going. Let's go and make cookies. Cookies are delicious. Oh yeah, no, this is actually very sticky, but doable. Now you should probably get them uniform in size, but that ain't happening here because they are very sticky. The recipe also suggests that you flour your hands. I am not, because, well, gluten-free flour is expensive. I don't want to break up more oats, and I just feel kind of lazy today. Okay, so now we have done our batches. They are ready to go, except for one thing. We do want to flatten them just a little bit so they don't puff up a little too much. They'll still puff, and you don't want to push them down too much, just gently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my hands, because that seemed to work when I was rolling them out. And then I'll just kind of press them down with my hands. Press down, press, 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 press. Okay, so we are ready to put them in the oven for 9 to 11 minutes. At least that'll be the first batch. And now we wait. Okay, we are done with our last batch. Let me turn off the oven. I have some that have cooled down a bit, so I'm just going to leave them to cool down and hopefully not burn my fingers too much because they didn't cool down completely. I will admit that I left some a little too long. So those are the ones that I will be eating to try. Actually, no, I should probably try something in the middle so then it's more of a fair estimate of how well this worked. Okay, so let's show the new batch. Those are the new batches of the cookies. As you can see, yes, some of them have been in there for just a tad bit too long. But now we are going to try these scrumptious cookies. Ooh, look at that inside of that cookie. That is a cake cookie if I have ever seen one. It tastes good too. I'm happy with it. The only thing I think I could have added was maybe more vanilla. Otherwise, it's a nice simple cookie. It seems that you can replace the butter with the cream cheese completely, which is awesome. The rise from the cookies, not using an egg and just using the baking soda and vinegar worked really well, especially with the extra baking powder to help that rise. If anything, I feel like it rose more than I thought it was going to. And it still has that light, airy consistency that you were looking for. The flour, where we used the oats and the arrowroot and the gluten-free flour, worked really well with these. They still look like a nice color, other than the ones that I overcooked. So overall, yeah. Good cooking. I definitely hope you try out some of these replacements, and thank you for enjoying this with me, and I hope you have a lovely enjoyment of your cooking experience and experiment.